Hello everyone, hope you all are well. Today I will discuss about basic concept of electrical circuit part 1. I have divided this whole topic into two parts. So today I will discuss about part 1 basic concepts of electrical circuit. So myself Mr. Santanu Noskar, Assistant Professor of Electrical Department GKCM JIS Group, and my mail ID is santanu.uit@gmail.com and santanu.noskar_gkcm@jisgroup.org, and this is my Facebook page, Being Electrify with Santanu. You can get all the lecture in my Facebook page and also in my YouTube channel. So before starting this lecture, I want to share with you something that was told by Albert Einstein, that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is a stupid. So let us discuss about your syllabus. So name of the subjects is electrical circuit and network, course code EES3CTN, third semester. So about this objective I have already discussed. So today I will discuss about this review of basic concept of electrical circuit. In my part 1 lecture I will discuss about electrical circuit elements RLC, voltage and current source, AC waveform, and definition of various terms associated with it. And in my part 2 lecture I will discuss about voltage and current response and impedance diagram of pure R, L and C to AC supply and phasor representation of alternating quantity. So let's start. So first I will discuss about electrical circuit elements, which is like RLC. So before knowing those circuit elements RLC, you have to know what is an electric circuit. So an electric circuit is a closed path for transmitting an electric current through the medium of electrical and magnetic fields. The flow of electron across the loop constitutes the electric current, and electrons enter the circuit through the source, which can be a battery or a generator. The source provides energy to the electrons by setting up an electrical field which provides the electromotive force. Now the electron leave the circuit through the load to the earth ground, thus completing a closed path. The load or output can be any simple home appliance like television, lamp, refrigerator, or can be a complex load such as that on a hydroelectric power generating station. So a simple electric circuit consists of a source such as a battery, wires as conducting medium, and a load such as light bulb. So the battery provides required energy for flow of electron to the light bulb. So what is the basic circuit elements? As mentioned here in the introduction part of this video, I mentioned that a circuit is an interconnection of elements. These elements are classified into active or passive element, okay, based on their capability to generate energy. So what is active circuit element? So active elements are those which can generate energy. Example include batteries, generator, operational amplifier and diodes. Note that in an electrical circuit, the source element are the most significant active elements. An energy source, whether a voltage or current source, is of two types. Actually, this is independent and dependent type source. So example of an independent source is a battery which provides a constant voltage to the circuit irrespective of the current flowing through the terminal. So example of an dependent source is a transistor which provides current to the circuit depending upon the voltage applied to it. So another example is an operational amplifier which provides voltage depending upon the differential input voltage applied to its terminal. So let us discuss about passive circuit elements. Passive elements can be defined as element which can control the flow of electron through them. They either increase or decrease the voltage. Here are some examples of passive elements, which is resistor, inductor, capacitor. About this resistor, inductor, capacitor I will discuss briefly in my next slide. So what is resistor? A resistor opposes the flow of current through it. For a linear circuit, Ohm's law is applicable, which states that voltage across the resistor is directly proportional to the current flowing through it, the proportional constant being the resistance. And what is inductor? An inductor stores energy from of the electromagnetic field. The voltage across an inductor is proportional to the rate of change of current flowing through it. And what is a capacitor? A capacitor stores energy in form of the electrostatic field. The voltage across a capacitor is proportional to the charge. Let us discuss about types of electrical circuit. So first I will discuss about DC circuit. So in DC circuit, the excitation applied is a constant source. Based on the type of connection of active and passive component with the source, a circuit can be classified into series and parallel circuit. So what is series circuit? When several passive elements are connected in series with an energy source, such a circuit is known as series circuit. So for a series circuit, same amount of current flows through each element and voltage is divided. In series circuit, as the elements are connected in a line, if there is faulty element among them, complete circuit act as an open circuit. So for a resistor connected in DC circuit, the voltage across its terminal is directly proportional to the current passing through it, thus maintaining a linear relationship between the voltage and current. For resistor connected in series circuit, the total resistance is equal to the sum of all resistance value, like R equals to R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R3, like this. And for capacitor connected in series circuit, the total capacitance is equals to the sum of reciprocal of all capacitance value, like 1 by C equals to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3, like this. For inductor connected in series circuit, total inductance is equal to the sum of all inductance value, like capacitor, like resistor, like L1 equals to L equals to L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus L4, like this. Now I will discuss about parallel circuit. So in a parallel circuit, one terminal of all the elements is connected to the one terminal of the source, and the other terminal of all elements is connected to the other terminal of the source. So in parallel circuit, the voltage remain the same in the parallel elements while the current change. If there is any faulty elements among parallel elements, then there is no effect on the circuit. So for resistor connected in parallel, the total resistance is equals to the sum of reciprocal of all resistance value, like 1 by R equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3, like this. Completely opposite to series. For capacitor connected in series, the total capacitance is equals to the sum of all capacitance value, opposite to series. What? C equals to C1 plus C2 plus C3, like this. And for inductor connected in series, total inductance is equals to the sum of all reciprocal of inductance value, like 1 by L equals to 1 by L1 plus 1 by L2 plus 1 by L3, like this. Now I will discuss about AC circuit. So AC circuit are those circuit whose excitation element is an AC source. Unlike DC source, which is constant, AC source has variable current and voltage at regular interval of time. Generally, for high power application, AC circuit are used. After this, I will one by one discuss about resistance, capacitance and inductance. So first, resistance. So what is the definition of electrical resistance? So resistance also known as ohmic resistance or electrical resistance, is a measure of the opposition to current flow in an electrical circuit, and resistance measured in ohm, symbolized by the Greek letter omega. Look here. So when a voltage is applied across a substance, there will be an electrical current through it. The applied voltage across the substance is directly proportional to the current through it. The constant of proportionality is resistance. Hence, resistance is defined as the ratio of applied voltage of current through the substance, which is equals to V proportional to I. So V equals to Ri. So R equals to V by I, where V is the voltage, I is the current, R is the resistance. Okay. So let us discuss about the concept of resistance. So to understand the matter, let us take an example of metallic substance. So there are a number of free electrons moving randomly in the crystal structure of a metallic substance. When a voltage is applied across the resistance due to the electrical field, the free electrons drift from the lower potential point to higher potential point in the substance. During drifting motion, the free electrons continually collide with atoms of the substance, and this phenomenon prevents the free motion of electrons, and this causes resistance. Okay. So after this, let us discuss about the unit of resistance. So from the definition of resistance, it can be said that the unit of electrical resistance is volt per ampere, because V by I. So one unit of resistance is such a resistance which causes 1 ampere current to flow through it when 1 volt potential difference is applied across the resistance. The unit of electrical resistance, that is volt per ampere, is called ohm. Okay, denoted by Greek symbol omega. So after the name of great German physicist George Simon Ohm. Okay, it's named by George Simon Ohm, German physicist. So 1 volt by 1 ampere equals to 1 ohm. So this man is famous for his law called Ohm's law, which is applicable only on pure resistance. The unit ohm is normally used for moderate value of resistance, but there may be a very large as well as very small value of resistance used for different purposes. These values are expressed in giga ohm, mega ohm, kilo ohm, milliohm, micro ohm, even in nano ohm range, depending on the value of resistance. Look here, the list: giga ohm 10 to the power 9 ohm, mega ohm 10 to the power 6 ohm, kilo ohm 10 to the power 3 ohm, milliohm 10 to the power minus 3 ohm, micro ohm 10 to the power minus 6 ohm, and nano ohm 10 to the power minus 9. Okay. So last, let us discuss about some resistance of some different materials. So depending on the resistance values, substances are divided into 3 categories. Number 1, there are some materials, mainly metallic substances, which offer very low resistance to the current through them. These substances are referred to as conductor, more precisely electrical conductor. Silver is an extremely good conductor of electricity, but it is not widely used in electrical system because of its high cost. You all know that. And aluminum is a good conductor, and it is commonly used conductor because of its low cost and plenty of availability. Copper is another good conductor, commonly used in different electronics and electrical circuit, and it is a better conductor than aluminum, but at the same time it is costlier than the aluminum. And number 2, there is another category of material called semiconductor. These have a moderate value of resistance, not very high as well as not very low at room temperature. There are endless use of semiconductor of making electron device. Silicon, germanium are two mostly used semiconductor material In addition to these, different compounds also behave as semiconductor. And number 3, the material offer extreme resistance to the current is known as the insulator or electrical insulation material. These material are very bad conductor of electricity and mainly used to prevent leakage current in electrical system. Paper, dry woods, mica, porcelain, glass, polyester, mineral oil, SFC gas, nitrogen gas, other gas, etc. are very good example of insulating material. So let us discuss about effect of temperature on resistance. So in metallic substance which rising temperature, the interatomic vibration increase and hence offer more resistance to movement of electron causing the current. Hence with increasing temperature the resistance of metallic substance increase and the temperature coefficient of resistance is positive for this material. In semiconductor, with increasing temperature the number of free electron is increased, as at higher temperature more number of covalent bond gets broken to contribute free electrons in the substance. This reduces the resistance of the substance. Hence semiconductor have a negative temperature coefficient of resistance. Now let us discuss about the inductor and inductance. So what is inductor? If a time varying current flowing through a coil, there is an EMF induced in it. The induced EMF across the coil is directly proportional to the rate of change of current with respect to time. Due to the property including EMF, all types of electrical coil can be referred as inductor. An inductor is an energy storage device which stores energy in form of magnetic field. And what is inductance? As we already told, the induced EMF across a coil is directly proportional to the rate of change of current through it. The proportionality constant in that relation is known as inductance. Okay. So V proportional to di by dt, and we can write V equals to L di by dt. Here L equals to inductance, which is equals to V by di by dt. So a current through a conductor produces a magnetic field surround it. The strength of this field depends upon the value of current passing through the conductor. The direction of the magnetic field is found using the right hand grip rule. The flux pattern for this magnetic field would be number of concentric circle perpendicular to the direction of current. Now if we own the conductor in the form of coil or solenoid, it can be assumed that there will be concentric circular flux lines for each term of the coil, but it's not possible practically, as if concentric circular flux line for each turn exists, they will intersect each other. However, since lines of flux cannot intersect, the flux line for an individual turn will distort to form complete flux loop around the whole coil as shown here. Okay, so this flux pattern of a current carrying coil is similar to a flux pattern of a bar magnet, which is shown here. So what is the unit of inductance? This is Henry. Unit of either self inductance or mutual inductance. Sign is H and named for the American physicist Joseph Henry. Okay. So if we discuss about the types of induction, so there are two types of induction, self induction and mutual induction. Okay, so self, when time varying current flows in a coil, then time varying flux is produced, and this varying flux will link with that coil itself, and as a result there will be EMF induced in the coil itself. This type of induction is called self induction. And mutual induction, when time varying current flows in coil, it produces time varying flux, as we have already told. This time varying flux may link with another nearby coil. Due to this flux linkage, there will be an induced EMF in the second coil. This type of electrical induction is called mutual induction. Hence, mutual inductions can be defined as the induction of EMF in one coil due to time varying current flowing in any another nearby coil. So, the inductance of a coil due to current in another nearby coil is called mutual inductance, and the inductance of a coil or inductor due to its own current is called self inductance. Okay, now let us discuss about capacitor and capacitance. So there are three fundamental electronic components that form the foundation of a circuit: resistor, inductors and capacitor. So a capacitor in an electrical circuit behaves as a charge storage device. It holds the electric charge when we apply a voltage across it, and it gives up the storage charge to the circuit as when required. The most basic construction of a capacitor consists of two parallel conductor, usually metallic plates separated by a dielectric material. When we connect a voltage source across the capacitor, the conductor, which is a capacitor plate attached to the positive terminal of the source, become positively charged, and the conductor, which is capacitor plate connected to the negative terminal of the source, become negatively charged. Because of the presence of the dielectric between the conductor, ideally no charge can migrate from one plate to other. So there will be a difference in charging level between these two conductor plates. Therefore, an electric potential difference appears across the plates. The charge accumulation in the capacitor plate is not instantaneous, rather it is gradually changing. The voltage appears across the capacitor exponentially rises until it becomes equal to that of the connected voltage source. Now, what is capacitance? Now we understand that the charge accumulation in the conductor plates cause the voltage or potential difference across the capacitor. The quantity of charge accumulated in the capacitor for developing a particular voltage across the capacitor is referred to as the charge holding capacity of the capacitor. We measure this charge accumulation capability of a capacitor in a unit called capacitance. The capacitance is the charge get stored in a capacitor for developing 1 volt potential difference across it. Hence, there is a direct relationship between the charge and voltage of a capacitor. The charge accumulated in the capacitor is directly proportional to the voltage developed across the capacitor. Look here, Q proportional to V, where Q is the charge and V is the voltage. Now we can write Q equals to CV. Here C is the constant of the proportionality and this is capacitance. So the capacitance depend upon three physical factors, and these are the active area of the capacitor conductor plates, the distance between the conductor plates, and the permittivity of the electric medium. So C equals to epsilon A by D, where this sign epsilon is the permittivity of the dielectric medium, A is the active area of the plate, okay, and this is the perpendicular distance between the plates. Okay, so the unit of capacitor is farad. So farad unit of electrical capacitance, this ability to hold an electric charge in the meter kilogram second system of physical units. It is named after an English scientist, Michael Faraday. So this is all about the capacitor and capacitance. After this, I will discuss about voltage and current source. So first of all, you have to know what is source. So a source is a device which converts mechanical, chemical, thermal or some other form of energy into electrical energy. In other words, the source is an active network element meant for generating electrical energy. So the various type of source are available in the electrical network are voltage source and current source. A voltage source has a forcing function of EMF, whereas the current source has a forcing function of current. So the current and voltage source are further categorized as an ideal source and practical source. Look here, voltage source, ideal voltage source, practical voltage source, current source, ideal current source, practical current source. So first I will discuss about voltage source. So a voltage source is a two-terminal device whose voltage at any instant of time is constant and is independent of the current drawn from it. Such a voltage source is called an ideal voltage source and have zero internal resistance. Practically, an ideal voltage source cannot be obtained. Source having some amount of internal resistance are known as practical voltage source. Due to this internal resistance, voltage drop takes place and it causes the terminal voltage to reduce. The smaller is the terminal resistance of a voltage source, the more closer it is to an ideal source. The symbolic representation of the ideal and practical voltage source is shown here. Okay, look at this symbol. This is two symbol. So this figure A now show the circuit diagram and characteristics of ideal voltage source, and figure B shows here gives the circuit diagram and characteristics of practical voltage source. Okay, so some example of voltage source is batteries and alternators. Now current source. So the current source are further categorized as ideal and practical current source. An ideal current source is a two-terminal circuit element which supplies the same current to any load resistance connected across its terminal. It is important to keep in mind that current supplied by the current source is independent of the voltage of source terminal. It has infinite resistance. A practical current source is represented as an ideal current source connected with the resistance in parallel. The symbolic representation is shown here. This is two symbolic representation of current source. So this figure show its characteristics of ideal current source. Look here, and this figure below shows the characteristics of a practical current source. So the example of current source is photoelectric cells, collector current of a transistor. Okay. After this, I will discuss about AC waveforms and theory. So alternating current is that which change its direction periodically. As we discussed earlier, AC current is bidirectional in nature. The AC waveform is that which describe all the character of the alternating current. Generally, we will represent AC waveform by sinusoidal waveform, and its mathematical formula is AT equals to A sine 2 pi ft, where A is the amplitude of the signal, T is the time period, and F is the frequency of the signal. In the process of generation of AC current, a wire or coil is rotated in a magnetic field produced by two magnets. If we plot the instantaneous of the moving coil by wire with respect to time, it will form a graph of alternating current which is called AC waveform. Alternating current waveform vary with time, so they are also known as time dependent signal or periodic signal. Based on the generation method of AC current, we will get the different types of waveform, but sine waveform is the most commonly used waveform for describing the AC current. Okay, So with the help of sine waveform, we can understand all the features and evolution of AC current. We represent the sine wave with its amplitude with respect to its time period. The amplitude, or sometimes it's called as voltage, is represented in vertical axis and the horizontal axis represent the time period. So in the AC waveform expression, AT equals to A sine 2 pi ft. AT is the function which varies with respect to the time, and in general the respect to the time, in general the AC waveform will be shown like this. So the AC waveform has the same amplitude in both positive half and negative half cycle. Look here. So the amplitude of the waveform will be measured with respect to time. That is why the AC waveform is time dependent. What is amplitude? I will discuss later. Okay. So now I will discuss about types of periodic waveform. So there are many types of waveform with which we can explain the alternating current. As the AC current is time dependent, periodic, all the waveform which are used to describe the AC current are also periodic. The other type of waveform that are commonly used to represent the AC current are sine wave, square wave, sawtooth wave and triangular wave. As we already familiar with the sine wave, let's start from the square wave. The square waveform are mostly used for representing the electrical signal like voltage circuit outputs and for clock signal representation also. These are symmetrical in nature, that means they represent equal duration in both positive and negative waveforms. These waveforms are not rounded. Rather than being at peak amplitude, they have vertical up down with flat top at the peak voltage level. Because of the flat top, they look like square shaped. That's why they are called square waveform. The example of square waveform I mentioned in this picture. Look, this is a square waveform. We already learned that the square waveform are symmetrical in nature. In this, the time taken to complete a positive half cycle must be equal to the time taken to complete the negative half cycle, so that we can calculate the duty cycle of the square wave by calculating the rise time and fall time. The duty cycle means the time taken for the positive half cycle by the waveform. So if we say this time taken for the positive half cycle is on time and the time taken for the negative half cycle is off time, then the frequency of the square waveform can be found by a formula which is frequency equals to 1 by on time plus off time. Remember that frequency equals to 1 by on time by off time. So most of the digital electronic circuit waveform are represented in square waveform only. Now I will discuss about sawtooth waveform. So this is another type of periodic waveform. In this waveform, the peak of the waveform at extreme times, low or high, are like teeth of hacksaw blade. That's why it's called sawtooth waveform. Sawtooth waveform are two types. One is positive Gram sawtooth waveform and another is negative Gram sawtooth waveform. Okay, so the most used sawtooth waveform is positive Gram wave. It has a frequency in the ratio of even harmonic like half, 1, 4, 1, 6, 1, 8 and 1 in, etc. So the sawtooth waveform is used by musicians to produce the high clarity sound in audio devices because of its high harmonic capacity. Last I will discuss about triangular wave. Triangular waves are those which will oscillate between positive and negative values. These are also bidirectional in nature. Its shape is similar to that of linear positive Gram sawtooth waveform. The triangular waves have slow rising time and slow decaying time. The rate of change of voltage in the triangular waveform in their positive and negative half cycle is equal. And the triangular waveform have their duty cycle as 50%. Since it takes equal time to rise and fall down, the frequency of the triangular wave is average of the voltage level. Now I will discuss about AC waveform characteristics. So the AC waveform can be explained by its basic key characteristics like amplitude, frequency, time period. So what is amplitude? The maximum value of current or voltage is known as amplitude. This is represented by either the positive peak or negative peak, the value of the sine wave. Okay, it may be positive peak or negative. So this maximum voltage level is also said to be peak voltage. It may be either positive or negative. The negative sign in the value indicate the direction of the current flow. Okay. So after this, what is time period? So the time taken to complete one full cycle is known as time period. It is denoted by T, caps T. The time period can be calculated starting from any point on the AC sine wave. No matter where we start measuring the time period, it is a matter of completing one full cycle. Okay. And what is frequency? The frequency of frequency of waveform is the reciprocal of its time period. Okay, it's can also be explained as the number of time that sine wave cycle occurs in a second, and frequency is measured in hertz by the name of German scientist Heinrich Hertz, who have proved the existence of electromagnetic wave. It is represented by F. Frequency can be measured by the formula frequency equals to 1 by time period. Okay, so that is all. So this is the part 1 section, and you will get the part 2 section in my description section. So here I will discuss about some reference book, which is Circuit Theory and Networks by S.P. Ghosh and A.K. Chakraborty, Circuit Theory, Analysis and Synthesis by Abhijit Chakraborty, and Circuit and System by K.M. Soni. This is a very good book according to my choice, or you can go with some basic electrical books. So thank you. Hope you all enjoy my lecture, and please go through the part 2 section also. And please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Stay safe, stay happy.